steady profit.
With multiplexes mushrooming across India at almost breathtaking speed, it's hard to believe that it wasn't so long ago that the Indian cinema industry was almost in its death throes. The 80s were a bad decade, movies were bad, audiences were dropping, and by the early 90s came the competition from satellite television. So if it hadn't been for the enterprise of a young man from Delhi who brought to India its first multiplex cinema, we would perhaps not have seen the Indian cinema industry catch up so quickly with the modern world. India Inc. brings you this week the story of Ajay Bijli and his PVR company. In northern India in the 40s, the name of Ajay Bijli's grandfather, Bijli Pahalwan, was well known, and when the family moved to Delhi, stories abounded about how he'd been a famous wrestler who came to be called Bijli because he struck his opponents with the speed of lightning. Sadly, this is not the real explanation of how the family acquired the surname Bijli, but the real story is almost as romantic.
I think 40s, during the partition period, I think he was just very involved in the, just the Amritsar part of the freedom fight, I think, at that time. So I think he'd done a lot of things. We keep hearing stories about what all he did, and therefore he got this little title called Bijli Pahalwan. But otherwise we were always Mehras, and then this Bijli title was given. And my dad sort of, decided that he would call himself Bijli.
इन्होंने कुर्बानी की थी, ऐहो जी कुर्बानी की थी कि एक औरत नूं बचाया सी। ते जिहड़े लोग अमृतसर से उन्होंने कहा कि यह तो कोई की चीज़ है, उन्होंने नाम तां बिजली पहलवान पिया सी, अलाइव बिजली पहलवान कहते ना, उन्होंने तां ना पिया, वैसे ना साईदास है।
ते फसाद दंगे उस वेले हुए सी?
नहीं, वो तो है 1947 जो है ना,
उस तो पहला। Bijli Pahalwan started a transport business with a single truck that plied mostly in Punjab, but by the time his sons inherited the transport company, it was already functioning at a national level and was called the Amritsar Transport Company. So what did your father do then when he came to Delhi?
He was continuing with the transport business, but the trucking business had to be expanded. So I think Delhi became our headquarters, and then Bombay and places like that. But we decided to settle in Delhi and then continue the business from there.
But he set up offices all over India?
That's right. It was a typical freight forwarding company which had warehouses, godowns, booking offices. And so that was really the interest of my father and my grandfather. So they expanded that business.
Nothing to do with the movies?
No, actually, nothing to do with cinemas. It's just that he had, at that time, all the old families in Delhi who were doing well, I mean, they used to just pick up a property, a cinema property, just as, it used to be a good status symbol type of thing. So from that point of view, my dad had picked up a cinema in 79.
Which one?
Priya in Vasant Vihar, which was actually due to as a arbitration. So he was into arbitration. So there were some 7-8 partners who were fighting and couldn't settle the purchase of this property from the government. So Dad, in his settlement, finally decided the only way to settle the dispute was if he bought everybody's share. So he just bought it by default, rather than, you know, wanting to get into this business. So
But it was a running cinema.
it was a running cinema, yeah, which was run by the managers, and it was running movies which are not necessarily first run movies, old Hindi films or second run English movies.
And in 79,
Yeah.
the collapse of the cinema business was already coming into play, right?
Mid 80s to, I think, early 80s, the video boom had started. Everybody started buying videos, and the government had taken a view that entertainment tax should be imposed. It was very high in India. There was a control on ticket prices. You could not charge more than 8 rupees on the balcony ticket price. So every time you needed a enhancement in ticket price, you had to go back to the government.
What did you do? What was your restructuring mode, as it were?
Put better seats, put better sound and projection system. So there was no Dolby at that time. Only one cinema in Bombay had Dolby. So that was one thing I thought could be the USP. But in hindsight, everything looks, 2020. But otherwise, at that time, whatever made common sense to me, that's all we did. Revamped it, cleaned it up, gave uniforms, made sure the air conditioning worked. Just a very clean, simple cinema. But because it was located in South Delhi and in a catchment which was surrounded by, Vasant Vihar, all that area. So I felt maybe English movies, it could be the USP of that place. So we got, I went to Warner Brothers, UIP, everybody, and I said, listen, there's only one cinema in Delhi which plays English movies, and you can't satisfy.
Was that right at that point?
At that time only Chanakya was playing. Even Archana had been closed, and it was, something was, they were building an office there or something. So I said, 52 weeks, but you have like 100 movies which come every year. So, you need another house. So simultaneously, as I was renovating, I was also, negotiating with them if I could get all the new English movies. So that I thought could be the USP. And luckily, by 91 we opened the cinema, and it did very well. And people liked the whole experience.
I only spent about a year in the transport business. And during that time, Ajay was obviously looking at doing a joint venture with Village Roadshow from Australia. And that's the time that I had joined. So it was very initial. So both of us were very excited about this new venture. And that's the time I joined and went to Australia to train with Village Roadshow for a few months.
What sort of training was involved?
It was very hands-on, actually. I was sent to a place called Hobart in Tasmania, which is a small island off mainland Australia. And there's nothing to do but work there because it's so, isolated, that place. So it was very hands-on. I was working in one of their theatres, village theatres, selling tickets, selling popcorn, trying to sell Pepsi. I was actually spilling Pepsi all over. And ushering and all of that. And yeah, all of that. I mean, it was a the training was basically modules. One of the modules was obviously serving customers. And then there was a lot of training going on at the back office, in the management section of the business as well. So I did all of that.
Behind me is PVR Saket in Delhi, India's first multiplex. It opened in the first week of June 1997, just a few days before the worst tragedy in cinema history, the Upar cinema fire that killed 59 people. Ajay Bijli admits that the tragedy unnerved him, and for a while he thought that he may have made a mistake and might be in the wrong line of business.
Me and my wife, we'd gone for a honeymoon, of course, in 90, and that's the time when I saw multiplex for the first time in Orlando. And that's when I decided that we've got a property back at home, so why don't we, this is what I want to do, create multiplexes.
You already had Saket?
I didn't have Saket at the time. I had Priya only. But I had already started Priya as a single screen cinema. But there was no building bylaws, there was no real estate available at that time. Zoning laws were very strict. So the only way I could convert a multiplex was to pick up another existing cinema. So we got Saket. And in the meantime, I'll just backtrack a little bit. We got a joint venture with Village Roadshow. Because I didn't know how to make.
Tell me about that. I read about it. Some sort of Australian company.
That's right. Actually, it was the largest multiplex company at that time. And I didn't know how to make multiplexes because, technically you needed some know-how. And
what sort of know-how do you need?
Well, now it seems that it's no big deal because multiplex are, being built almost on a monthly basis, daily basis now. But, getting the right acoustics between auditoriums, making sure no noise escape happens, getting the right proportions, safety, security, everything, the whole thing had to work because you attract a lot of people.
How did you find this
Through
religion?
the distributors. Actually, the Priya ended up doing that well, that, the common distributors like UIP and Warner Brothers, Universal and Paramount, they felt that I was very involved in this business and the next step would be to do multiplexes.
How did you feel when Upar happened?
It was disastrous. I mean, obviously, personally, I thought, am I doing the right thing? Am I ready to take this responsibility? I was pretty young, 97, I was, whatever, 30 years old at that time and when this had happened. So it was a big thing that I hope I'm not trying to expand a business which is not that safe, and am I ready to take that responsibility? So all these questions do come to you.
Did you think then that it would be another collapse?
There were a lot of skeptics actually when we opened that, because that was really the peak of decline, so to speak, of the industry, and there were a lot of cinemas that were shutting down anyway because they were unviable. And on top of that, this incident happened. So cinema going completely became like something people just didn't want to do, So there were a lot of skeptics. A lot of people, I remember, all of our friends told us that we're just doing this to satisfy our personal interest because we're movie buffs and they don't see a business here. And also the authorities were a little shocked because there were the authorities getting proposals from cinema owners to shut them down. And here was a company that was going and saying, listen, we don't want to just don't want to shut it down, but we want to make 4 out of them. So they thought that was a bit crazy. So there were a lot of skeptics. And but I just think it's something that, worked because we really had a strong belief in it.
PVR Sarkade.
Yeah.
Did it catch on instantly with cinema goers?
Yeah, it was quite amazing. With the grace of God, the moment we opened doors, straight away we had a tremendous response. But it was, I was very nervous because, smaller cinemas were being introduced for the first time. So people were used to 1,000-seater, 2-tier cinemas, big screen. And here we had 150-seater cinemas, smaller screens. And so I really didn't know how people would respond. The only thing I was relying on was the appetite for Indian moviegoers to watch movies, lots and lots of movies, and we had a huge Indian film industry to bank on.
The abolition of the license quota permit Raj in the mid-90s created an atmosphere in which it was possible for Ajay Bijli to think of modernizing the cinema he'd inherited, but the liberalization of the economy that followed somehow was not yet liberated the cinema industry as much as it wants. Are there still problems from government in terms of policy?
Yeah, taxes is a big issue, entertainment tax, because entertainment tax is a state subject. So Delhi's got its own set of entertainment tax, which is about 30% now. Bombay has 30%, but there's a tax break that you were getting earlier. When you invested in a multiplex, some places got 100%, still 60%, 50%. So the biggest killer currently, or impediment to growth, really is the entertainment tax from the government, which still continues.
But haven't they reduced it considerably since this quota Raj, license quota Raj ended, or not?
Actually, this area has not still been given priority the way it should have been. But now people like Yash Chopra, film industry people, they also realize, because every ticket that is sold, they also have a share of the box office. And entertainment tax again reduces that share. So they're also talking that we should get into the worldwide
standard. Who gets the bulk
standard.
of the share then? The guy who owns the cinema, the movie maker, or the government?
Today, government gets about 30%, one can say. And then it is divided. The net box office, which is after the tax is given, is divided between the exhibitor and the distributor in about 60-40, 50-50 ratio, depending upon how big the movie is. So that's what it is. So I think bulk still, you can say, the exhibitor would get about 60%.
Are there any other problems? Is there a problem building cinemas? Is there a problem acquiring properties?
Yeah, there is. Now with the retail boom happening, it's a mixed, it's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, you're getting these malls, so therefore space is not a constraint. You can build a multiplex everywhere now. But with the real estate prices going up, the rentals have increased dramatically. That's one. Secondly, of course, external factors like lots of other avenues to watch movies again. So again, there's a huge revival of home theaters, DVDs, satellite, HBO, hundreds and hundreds of channels, and also internet, so piracy. So now again, movie watching is becoming like music on the go. It's becoming movies on the go. So the youngsters, the basically bulk of the population is still teenagers who go and watch movies. So they have a lot of options now. So they'll say, listen, if it's a Shah Rukh movie or if it's a Tom Cruise movie, okay, fine, I'll wait. And I'll wait for it to come on the big screen. But if it's another movie for which I don't have to really shell out 150 rupees into popcorn, into car parking, into whatever, which makes it a bill of say 1,000 rupees, I'd rather watch it when it comes on DVD or when it comes on TV.
One of the little-known facts about the cinema industry is that despite Indians being movie mad, to say the very least, there are no more than 15,000 cinemas in the whole of India, of which no more than 500 are multiplexes. A surprisingly small number for 1 billion people, but this seems about to change on account of the cinema industry being on the verge of a boom.
We are relying on that propensity of people to always go out and entertain themselves. So it's like, kitchens are at home, so people can cook at home, but they still go to restaurants to eat. So similarly, I think we're riding this whole retail boom, I would say, and the appetite, as I said, for of the social side of man to go out and entertain. So when you go out, either you'll go shop, which you can't do on a daily basis, or you'll eat out, or you entertain yourselves. So in India particularly, entertainment is pretty much by and large movie watching.
We're hoping to continue with the all India expansion. There's a lot of areas to be covered. I mean, I think one thing that supports us very strongly is the fact that Indian consumers just love films. I mean, we're a movie crazy and a cricket crazy nation, but movie crazy definitely. So we want to obviously cover the entire country, take our screen count up to 300, 350, whatever that might be.
By when?
Another maybe 3 years, maximum 3 years time, and then also solidify our distribution division and definitely get into film production very soon. We want to start also producing content.
And why do you feel the need to go into production?
One, because I think then we'll be a part of the entire supply chain. We'll be doing exhibition, distribution and production. I think it's important to sort of be in the entire supply chain. Secondly, it's a passion also, because we've been in the business for so long. We watch movies, we're critical about them, or we appreciate them. So I think somewhere down the line, we've kind of had this urge to make something which we also believe in now, and we've been reading a lot of scripts, because every time we buy films from these markets, we read the scripts before we buy them. So there's been that learning that's happened over the past few years.
The magic of the movies is back. Audiences are back in cinema halls, and the license quota permit Raj that was such a thorn in the side of all enterprise is now almost at an end, or at least we hope so. But are there still restrictions on the part of government? Are there still taxes that need to be removed? What does the future hold for the Indian cinema industry, and where does PVR go from here? How do you see then your own strategy to try and, rebuild this magic of the cinema?
Currently, keep on improving. So quality and quantity. One is keep on improving the quality of the whole experience to make sure that, leg room, seat width, the whole sound, everything, where we build these cinemas becomes better and better, and how we build these cinemas become better and better, so it becomes an entertainment space. The other is quantity, to make sure that we reach out as a company who's got some expertise in this field to reach out to various parts of the country and introduce an enhanced movie-going experience.
When did you first start developing a passion for cinema?
From the beginning, I think, from a movie watching point of view, I think it was from the beginning. I remember still going to a lot of the cinemas in CP, in Odeon. I think in those days, everyone used to get really dressed up and go to watch films and all. So I do remember those faintly. I remember watching Sholay when I was a small kid with the entire family. There were like 100 of us. I remember that specific moment. I thought it was really charming with people getting ready and to watch a movie. So it was almost an event.
The business ਨੂੰ ਸਫਲ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਰਾਏ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ?
ਸੱਚਾਈ ਸੱਚਾਈ ਧੋਖਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ